Hi friends, welcome to our channel. Today, we continue our series on how to influence men. In part 1, we discussed a few strategies, and now we'll look at the remaining strategies that will help you better understand and manage male behaviour. Based on psychology and life examples, these methods are easy to apply. Ready to go deeper? Let's get started. What makes a woman feminine? Femininity is a state of mind and social activity. Rule #9. Alcohol. Keep a bottle of good wine on hand. This method of manipulation is very effective but not safe. Alcohol in small quantities relaxes a person, but there is no guarantee that your interlocutor will not want more. Therefore, you should use alcohol as an assistant in your manipulations very carefully, preparing in advance for the situation if something goes wrong. You can resort to this method of manipulation when you want to ask a man for something significant for you. Offering to join you and drink a glass of good French wine, you set your interlocutor in a festive mood. He starts to behave accordingly. On a holiday, you need to have fun and relax. This behaviour is good for you. You need him to be as relaxed as possible. Of course, having persuaded a man to support the company, you must somehow motivate your behaviour. That's when it's time to act. For example, you are sent on a business trip for a month to another city. You know that your favourite man will take this news without enthusiasm. Most likely, he will simply forbid you to go and ask you to refuse. You need to persuade him to give you permission to go because your career depends on it. Your actions? Try to organise a small party, offering your life partner to celebrate an important event for both of you. Take out a bottle of good French wine prepared for special occasions, which was just waiting for just such a moment. You have glasses in your hands. Your beloved is waiting, but do not immediately remove the veil of secrecy. A little delay with the story of your business trip. Wait until the alcohol will affect your interlocutor. Start your story after the first drink. The alcohol has already had time to take effect, but has not yet clouded your judgment. When starting your story, try to present it in a slightly different light. This is when you act as a real manipulator. The news will be perceived in the way you present it. Champagne, candles, slow music, just a preparatory stage. The real manipulation begins now. Start your story with the fact that you have organised a celebration in honour of your promotion, which will certainly affect the material side of your life. Tell him that your boss has become more serious about you and already intends to raise your salary, but he is still testing you, and in order to be sure of his choice, he wants to send you on a business trip for a while. Such a turn of events may not cause great joy in your man, but noticing the sparkle and hope in your eyes, he certainly will not be able to forbid you to go. This tactic will bear fruit if you manage to create the right mood in the man and do not overdo it with drink. Rule #10. Intimate zone. Invade a man's personal space. We offer you another quite effective way of manipulating men, related to the invasion of personal space. This method of manipulation is suitable when you want to ask for something from a man with whom you do not have an intimate relationship. Let us briefly describe how this method of manipulation works. A person has an intimate zone, about 50 centimetres in diameter, which, according to the rules of etiquette, only the closest people are allowed to enter. As a rule, we communicate with a stranger at a distance of 50 to 70 centimetres, trying not to invade his/her personal space, as this may cause a negative reaction from his/her side. It's quite different if the stranger is a member of the opposite sex. Then, the intrusion into his personal space can give him pleasure, cause positive emotions. The ability to competently penetrate into the intimate zone of the interlocutor can help you to manage men. You should not immediately approach a man at a dangerous distance. You should do it slowly, gradually, in the process of conversation reducing the distance between you. To your invasion of a man's personal space caused positive emotions, you must remember that at close range can catch even the smallest unpleasant nuances. They, in turn, can spoil the whole impression, and your interlocutor will have a desire to end the conversation as soon as possible. Unpleasant nuances mean unpleasant smells and sounds. Remember that at a close distance, your interlocutor will feel your breath, so make sure it is fresh. Also, an unfavourable impression will be made by the smell of sweat or pungent perfume. The odour should be gentle, barely detectable. As for sounds, having reduced the distance between you and your interlocutor, it is necessary to lower the timbre and volume of your voice. A high voice has a negative effect on a person. The invasion of the interlocutor's personal space can be more effective if you touch him, her. This touch should not be rough and should not last too long. It can be a light stroking, barely perceptible to the man. When choosing the area of contact, try not to touch the exposed parts of the body, the face or hands. Naturally, the below the waist area is off limits. Otherwise, you will simply be misunderstood. Your shoulders, forearms and chest area are at your disposal. You can also pretend that you want to correct some flaw in the clothes of your interlocutor, for example, to correct the lapel of the jacket or tie. These actions can enhance the effect produced and even put the man in a stupor. Now he is in your hands. When invading personal space, you should not be overly active. For example, you should not use several variants of touching at once. Just one is enough, and you should not make it too long. Otherwise, you can cause some discomfort. It is enough to play a little with the man at the beginning of the conversation, and during the whole conversation, his vigilance will be put to sleep. Rule hash 11. Caress. Use elements of stroking. Manipulating a person, you mislead him that he complies with your request willingly. He does not realise that you are controlling him. That is why, for covert control, are suitable, not authoritarian techniques, such as shouting and orders, but techniques that, in the science of manipulation, is commonly referred to as stroking. In order to please a man to himself, to set him on the positive, to make him easily controllable, you can caress your potential victim. Under the term stroking, psychologists understand not only touching, but also other psychological techniques that can cause positive emotions. You can use these techniques to make your interlocutor find support in you, and therefore trust you. Giving. You can support a man in his statements, pretend that you share his point of view. For example, agree with him when he starts scolding his boss, who allegedly does not appreciate such an irreplaceable worker. Rest assured that he will start to feel more comfortable in your company and will consider you a person who can be trusted. Use friendly gestures to communicate with your man. For example, a clap on the shoulder, a hug, a wink. As a unique way of showing goodwill, you can use a friendly handshake, which can be a little longer, as a sign of strong respect. You can also use a friendly pat on the shoulder. These are the most neutral ways of showing affection and care, which will help you to make your interlocutor feel at ease, and then influence him with words. If you want to discourage a man and are not afraid to seem a little frivolous, then you can use more intimate stroking. For example, when shaking hands, you can lightly tickle the inside of the palm of your interlocutor's hand, or try to correct his tie. Stand up for him if someone tries to accuse him of something. An elementary example, your mum criticises her son-in-law for not finishing the renovation. If you try to support her, your husband will see you as an enemy and will take even longer to finish it to spite everyone. The most competent thing to do is to take your husband's side. Why are you all picking on him? He is good. A man will realise that you are on his side, and after a conversation with your mum, you will be able to offer to finish the renovation yourself, to spite everyone who doesn't believe in it. use your interlocutor's own name. For a man, the sound of his name is the best compliment. If you call a man by his first name when addressing him, he will feel more trust and sympathy towards you. Rule #12. First date, refuse intimate contacts. The ability to manipulate others. This is a real art, which requires not only knowledge and skills, but also very tight self-control. Sometimes you have to fight with your own ego, restrain your desires to further achieve the desired result. We are going to talk about a foolproof method of manipulation that women use on the first love date. The purpose of this manipulation is obvious: the desire to turn her beau's crush into a stronger and stronger feeling of love. The first date is a real game between a man and a woman, comparable to a kind of duel, when one, usually a man, seeks at all costs to conquer his beloved, to satisfy his physiological needs, and the second, usually a woman, seeks to turn this date into the beginning of a long and much stronger bond between them. A woman, experienced and wise, prepares for a date in advance, plans everything down to the last detail, anticipating completely different outcomes of this fight. A woman believes that the date was successful in the case when it entailed a proposal to meet again, and not ended with a standard male excuse: "I'll call you." In order to get such an offer from a man, women use a manipulation that has become a woman's commandment: refuse intimacy on the first date. This technique works well in most cases. By refusing intimacy, you strike a blow to his ego, to his pride. You make him think about why it happened and what it was about. Even if he did not plan to continue the relationship with you, his damaged ego will not give him peace. He will still want to bring started to the end, thus giving you time to strengthen your relationship, to make it stable. Your refusal should be prepared in advance, even rehearsed if possible, so that you don't seem too coy or completely indifferent. The best variant can be a wording like, "Darling, it is not easy for me to refuse such a desirable idea to spend the night with you, but I want to test my feelings and get to know you better." That is, your refusal should be argued precisely because you hope for the continuation of the relationship, that you expect an unconditional continuation of your meetings. If you manage to convince your partner that you are not frivolous, that you are a worthwhile party, then perhaps a great destiny awaits your relationship. Sooner or later, you will still have to give in, and there is no guarantee that the man will not lose interest in you after that. But this again will depend only on you, whether you manage to interest the man only as a potential sexual partner, or he is interested in you as a person. Thanks, friends. For more helpful strategies on this topic, subscribe, like, comment, click the bell, and watch our next video.